Hi everybody, this is Clint. Today I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different scuba diving accessories. Many of these I still use, and I'll be quite honest with you, some of these I have absolutely no use for. But at least I'm going to expose them to you so you make a decision whether they might be useful for you or not. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of them in front of me and we'll go over them one by one. Okay, so over here, a finger spool and an SMB. Now, I've had lots of dives, to date 240 dives. Most of my diving have been done down south in warm tropical waters. I have never used an SMB down south. And the reason being is because most of my dives down south, I'm usually diving with a dive master. The dive master will have this, so I didn't need to have this. But up here in Canada, that might be a different story. I haven't used this a lot, but I might be using this more frequently in the future, especially at Welland. So this might become very useful. There are two main types of SMBs, an open bottom or an open end, and a closed end or closed bottom. So basically the main difference is for an open bottom, as the name implies, at the bottom, it's open, so it's easy to inflate. You just have to use your Octo, or you can use your BCD inflator, stick it in the bottom there, and it will inflate. Good thing about that is you can keep your primary stage inside your mouth. I didn't go for an open-ended SMB, and here's why. Because once this gets up to the surface, you have to keep your line taut, because if you don't keep your line taut, your SMB is going to fall over and all the air is going to rush out of your SMB and it will be deflated. So I chose to get this style, which is a closed end SMB. So it's closed at the bottom, and the only way for me to inflate it is with this piece right here. It's an oral inflator. So I do have to take my primary stage out of my mouth, blow into this, and then put my primary stage back into my mouth. Okay, but it just takes practice, and I'm getting pretty good at that. The main benefit I like about closed-end SMBs are once this gets up to the surface, even if I don't keep the line taut, and if this thing falls over, this will still remain inflated. Because I'm not so sure that I can keep a line taut during an entire dive, especially if I'm changing depths. So that's my SMB. Okay. So let's talk about mask straps. Now, most mask straps, it doesn't really matter up here in Canada because we're wearing hoods, but most mask straps, if you're wearing these down in warm water where you're not wearing a hood, they might tangle up with your hair, and it's not a good feeling. So a lot of divers choose to add one of these. This is a neoprene mask strap. This actually replaced my entire mask strap. So with something like this, this won't tangle up my hair. Now there's two types. This will replace my entire mask strap, or I have another one here. This one here opens up and goes right over your existing mask strap. So in either case, they're both made of neoprene, so I found these quite useful. Okay, ankle weights for dry suit divers. Now for me, I found towards the end of dives, I found my legs a little bit on the light side. So ankle weights, these are 2-pounders. If I'm wearing a pair of these, I found it was like night and day. My legs are in good form. They're no longer floating up above my body. So I like these. Okay. This is something I bought at Amazon. It's supposed to keep your keys and your ID completely dry. They're supposed to be waterproof. They're not waterproof. They still leaked. So if you trust your dry suit, you might be able to put this inside and keep everything dry, but I just don't trust these. So in case you saw these on Amazon or anywhere else, I would skip on these. Okay, during my original basic open water certification, I saw our dive master with one of these. It's a writing slate. He came around to the group and he wrote time to get back to the boat, which I thought was really cool. So what did I do? I went out and bought one of these. And it's been in my BCD pocket for 240 dives. I have not taken this out of my pocket even once. I've taken it out now because this will go into storage. Okay. We'll talk about lights and also retractors. Now, I have two types of lights. This is a smaller light. It's only about 100 lumens, so it's not much, but where I use this is if I'm going on a dive and I want to look underneath a ledge or something. Okay, so I'll just turn this on. Okay, I'll look underneath a ledge or underneath a piece of coral to see some nice fish down there. This is when I'll bring this out. Okay, this is not big enough to be a primary light for a night dive, but this is something I'll take with me all the time and I'll use when I need it. Now, what I've done is I bought a retractor. Okay, this is what a retractor is. This clips onto the D-ring on my BCD here, and when I need to use a light, I just pull it out. I look at whatever I need to look at, and when I'm done, this goes right back. So I don't need to fiddle around with this. I don't need to put this back in my pocket. This is safe and secure right there, and nothing's going to dangle. Okay, so that's a retractor, and I actually have another retractor, which I'll show you. This is a bigger retractor. This is attached to my dive computer. This type of dive computer is what we call an air-integrated console dive computer. I like console dive computers because they have big displays and I have bad eyes. So I find that with a wrist dive computer, I actually can't see the numbers, but with this I can. Now you can use this type of retractor for all types of gauges or a console dive computer. This is also clipped onto my BCD. This is clipped on at hip level. So this type of dive computer, it also has a built-in digital compass, which is great. So what I do is I stick it out here when I want to do some compass readings, some navigation. When I'm done with this will retract right back to my hip. So again, this is not dangling either. Very handy. Now, one thing about this heavy-duty retractor, it also has this extra feature. It's a lock. So I can bring it out and then lock it, and then it'll stay in place without retracting. And then once I release the lock, it'll go back in. Now, having said that, I have never used the lock feature during a dive, so I don't really know how useful it is, but it's there. Now, retractors, okay, like this one and this one, they're very useful. Okay, they basically help you from dangling your stuff around, but these are not cheap. The small one here is about $25, $30. The big one here, I think, was between $50 to $60. So they're not cheap. The brand I have here is Gear Keeper, but I thought these were really good quality. So they're available at your dive shop. Talking about lights, here's my primary dive light. This is one by Voladar, and I'll use this for night dives. I find this is a little bit big and bulky, but having said that, we used to use these pistol grip dive lights for night diving that were even bigger. So they've really did a good job in downsizing them, but still I find this a little bit too bulky to carry around with me all the time. So I won't carry this on most dives, especially during the daytime hours. But for night dives, I will bring this up. This will be my primary dive light. And during my daytime dives, if I need to use a light, that's where I'll have this little guy. Okay. So this here is like a glow. It's an automatic glow beacon. This attaches to my tank or my first stage. Doesn't need batteries. It's all activated by water, and this will turn red. Sometimes you have other ones that turn green. Now, I tested these out last year at Humber Bay and Welland, and I asked our other divers if they could actually see this, especially in bad visibility. The consensus was if you're right beside me, you can see this pretty good. If you're a little further away from me, you can't see this at all. So I don't know how useful these are for daytime dives, especially in bad visibility, but for night dives, this will be very useful, especially tropical night diving where visibility isn't really an issue. Okay. So for those of you who have your own tanks now, I added some more accessories to my tanks, which I don't have with me here because they're on my tanks. One is a mesh. So you'll see I've wrapped my tanks with a mesh. This just helps protect the paint in case you do have a painted tank. Also at the bottom, I have what's known as a tank boot, that black piece. It helps protect swimming pools, and also it helps stand up the tank a little bit better. So those are extra accessories that you can buy for your tank. I also got this little guy. This is a tank valve cap that goes right on the valve of my tank. You see these a lot down south. This will of course protect your tank valve. Now you can buy these at your local dive shop. I think they charge anywhere from $15 and up, $12, $15. I found these on Amazon for $3. Okay. This is a lubricant for zippers, so this is especially for dry suits. Helps you work your zippers a little bit better. Okay, so in here I have some silicone grease. So this would be good for O-rings, especially if you have dry gloves, but also anytime you replace O-rings in anything, this is good to have. Now instead of buying this from a dive shop, I got this at Rona for a couple of bucks. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh yes. Okay, so here's my Octo. Now, we sometimes see divers, their Octo are just dangling all over the place. Of course, that's not good. You want to always keep everything secure. And not only will you get caught on something if you leave things dangling, but if you go down south and you leave things dangling, people are going to be pissed off at you if you break into the coral reefs there. So you want to always secure anything that's kind of dangling around. So my Octo here, and you kind of notice there's a gray piece here. This is made by Scuba Pro. This is a clip for your Octo. So this in turn is attached to a metal clip. This attaches to the D-ring on my BCD. Now, of course, with Octos, you can put this anywhere you want. Some people like to put it in their chest level, and that's fine. I prefer to clip this on to my D-ring at hip level. Okay, so I'll keep it on my hip, and basically, if I need the Octo, it's just a twisting motion. There you go. It's available. And then I can clip this back on. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about dry suit socks. So I have some really heavy duty, I think these are wool or something. These are really warm socks, but lately I found an alternative. These are neoprene socks for diving and water sports. I like these a lot more for a couple of reasons. First of all, if it's really cold, I'll wear both of them. But if it's not that cold, I'll just wear the neoprene socks. As you can kind of see, this takes up less space than the regular socks. So less space also means less trapped air in your feet area for dry suit diving. So this is good. Also, if you do happen to flood your dry suit and everything gets wet inside, at least this will keep your feet warm. This won't. Okay. This is a dive rattle. First time I saw one of these was in Costa Rica. Dive master we had down there, anytime he spotted something really interesting and wanted to alert the rest of the group, he'd go like this. So I think this would be pretty useful down south because there are a lot more interesting things to see. Up here in Canada, well, I was thinking maybe I could use this to help divers who get lost in bad visibility, and maybe they can find me if they hear this, but I haven't pulled this out yet. But I'll keep this in my BCD pocket for now. A lot of divers say you should carry a dive knife in case you get tangled on something. I carry a pair of dive shears instead of a knife, so this is just as good in case I get caught in something. But again, to be quite honest, in 240 dives, I have yet to pull out a dive knife or a pair of shears. But this doesn't take much room, so I'll keep this in my BCD pocket for now. What else do we have here? Oh yes, let me show you this. Most of you have never seen this. This is my dive travel bag. It's very handy. So it's got wheels, as you can see. So everything fits in here, believe it or not, when I do dive travel. So my BCD fits in here, my fins, my wetsuit, all my accessories, my mask, my dive computer, everything fits in here. However, having said that, when I do flyaway trips, on the way down to a dive destination, I choose to carry my mask, my regulator, and my dive computer. Did I say dive computer? Yes, so it's my dive computer, my mask, and my regulator. Those will go in the cabin with me because I don't want to lose them. However, on the way back home, my return flights, I will put everything in here. That's not a problem. This is just basically checked as checked baggage at the airport. And when I'm at my destination, I can pull this around like any other type of baggage with wheels. Or you see the straps here at the end here? It's like a backpack. So sometimes I can carry this, especially to the boat, with a backpack. So this is very handy. I don't really bring this out locally in Canada. That's why most of our group divers have never seen this. And that's because up here in Canada, I really don't need this because I have my car trunk. Okay, so, oh, one more piece I do want to show you. This is attached to my regulator. I call this an accessory. Okay, so when I bought my new Poseidon regulator here, I chose to have my primary stage fitted with a flex hose. This is a flex hose, in case you can't see it. It's a little different from my other hoses, which are traditional rubber. With a flex hose, these are much lighter, okay, and also, like the name implies, they're very flexible. You can bend them all over the place. But one thing good about flex hose is that if I turn my head, this will flex with it. So as a result, I'll feel less fatigue in my job with a flex hose. So this is like the upcoming trend, using flex hoses. Now, if you choose to replace any of your hoses with a flex hose, just be careful. There are good ones and there are not so good ones. Apparently the poor quality flex hoses, they could fail on you. They could explode. So you do want to get a nice quality flex hose. This one I believe is made in Italy. So again, ask your dive shop for them. Make sure it's a high quality flex hose. Okay, so I think that is about it. That's quite a lot. So hopefully it might give you some ideas on different dive accessories. You know, some might be useful for you and some not, but at least you've seen my history here. So hopefully this will be helpful. Thanks for watching.